This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of RaceSport TV Friday Primetime here on the iRacing Esports Network. I am Connery Maddock and as ever I am joined by the one, the only Mr. Paul Smith. We are drawing towards the end of the season here in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. For round 10 we visit the wonderful Dutch racetrack of Circuit Park Zandvoort. In and amongst those dunes we'll be going racing in these Audis here today. And, just to give you a little bit of an example of how the track layout goes, Paul has the track guide for you now.
So here we are then, on board with Martin Kroenke from VRS Quantum Simsport. Exit the final corner. Important to carry the speed through that final corner as you head on down into turn 1. Of course, turn 1, the hairpin at Tarzan. Hard onto the brakes. Get it in nice and low. It's a cambered corner, so it does help you down the inside, out of turn 1, through this little kink at 2 into 3. Tricky correct braking. Back wants to go out from you. You run out wide into the entry of 4, so you're going to hook that apex all the way through. Get on the power as early as you can. Use all the curbs, and now into this wonderful sweeping S section here as you go through the right, then the left. Always careful through this right though, up over the top of the crest because you're going to be on the brakes for turn number 8. Long sweeping right-hander on the power again. In towards 9, hard onto the brakes now. This is a tricky corner. Always curving around here before you're on the brakes again whilst turning for a 90-degree corner. Turn right again, and then turn 11, this left-hander a hairpin. Bit of more of an open hairpin, but tricky corner. Very technical circuit this, and then onto the power. A little bit to stretch your legs on here. Get it over to the left-hand side because you want to be onto those brakes hard for this S section, the chicane. Through the right, then up over the curbs on this banked curve here on the left. Up over the curbing on the outside. You can see that Martin's fighting the back end of this car now. Last 2 corners again, another bank curve on the entry. Run it out as far right and left as possible, and then click the apex late, run it out wide, carry the speed, and that is a lap here of Circuit Zandvoort. And well, thank you very much to VRS for providing us with that hot lap.
Well, there we go. Martin Kroenke, fantastic lap as ever there to showcase for the weeks and, for the weeks and races that we've had here for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Thank you very much to VRS for providing those. But we do have qualifying going on right now. Of course, we do have those track statistics up on screen for you now. Track temperature sitting around about 29 degrees Celsius, clear in the skies here. Wind picking up a little bit, but really shouldn't factor in all that much into the grand scheme of things here. But the current state of qualifying is as follows. Thomas Gibson, currently provisional pole position from Jack Cedric, who lines up on that front row for now. Koba Lopez will line up P3. So with the cars that I see out there on track right now, I don't think things are going to change all that much. We have Jose Vergara heading his way through to complete a lap, currently P14. He improves up into P7, but that is the complete end of the session. So we'll get ourselves our official starting grid for this evening's race. Thomas Gibson, pole position from Jack Cedric. That is your front row. Second row, Adikoba Lopez, Kimu Soimonen. And then you cycle things down to Cohen Klopman and Alfonso Urita Molas there with Jose Vergara and Dominic Olivier, bringing things down to P8 on the starting grid. Juan Prada Jr., P9 with David Gold Arcasena there in P10, with Artem Grabo in P11, with Hayata Aska in P12. Vlad Kimichev in P13 with Daniel Move P14. Juan Pablo Tanoni will round out your 15-car field here today. 15 cars hanging their way down in towards that very, very interesting turn 1 here, Paul. Of course, on camber, so a couple of different lines can work through.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers got a great opportunity to make some moves and to try and get those positions at the start. Of course, cold tyres, low tyre pressures as well. So you're going to be talking about a lap for those tyres to really come into play. But even then, the rear end will want to just skip around for another lap or so. And that's something that these drivers have been learning all the way through this season. Of course, brand new car at the start of this season here on iRacing, and this IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge has it's just been producing absolutely epic racing each and every week, and these drivers certainly have learnt what these cars are capable of and how tough they are as well.
Yeah, they're very, very tough machines indeed. You know, bumper banging, just it's par for the course here in this type of racing. These TCR machines, of course. We'll see that pace car pull off that 911 Cup car, just heading its way through the full pace lap here at Circuit Park Zandvoort, since it is a slightly older track here on iRacing, so no starting the pace lap midway or two-thirds of the way through the lap. You're going to have to do it in its entirety, which will very much help when it comes to the tyre situation for these guys.
Yeah, it certainly will, and that's why I mentioned that these drivers, they're going to have that opportunity. It's going to come in a little bit sooner, are those front tyres, compared to normal races where you only have, say, like a third of a lap to get your tyres warmed up. So definitely these drivers got a good challenge here ahead of them today, and it's going to be good racing as this one. Tricky track to overtake at. Your overtaking opportunities really are into turn number 1. You can make moves into this turn 4, this hairpin, because it is a banked corner, and through down into the S as well towards the end of the lap. You have got those opportunities there, but other than that, really, it's a tight technical circuit, and these drivers are going to have it tough, but one driver who's going to have it really tough is Thomas Gibson out at the front. Can he make it a race win? Because it was Thomas last time around that you were here, Connery. Mm-hmm. He had a little issue with fuel. Yeah,
at Monza, not able to get it to the checkered flag. It's such a horrible situation, but in a way understandable, considering he was at the front of the drafting train for the vast majority of the race, not able to save fuel in any meaningful manner. So that's sometimes what happens when you're not able to hit your fuel numbers. But for this race, should be a little bit easier on that one. Of course, you're using a little bit extra fuel here on the pace lap because we have a full pace lap instead of a partial one, but still not going to really matter all that much. We could see, of course, the Simicube NX racing car of Jack Cedric as well. A very, very accomplished racer. Let's see what he can do. 8,310 I rating. He's the number 2 car, and that is because Adikoba Lopez is in the field on 8,498 I rating. So strength of field around about 5,000 for this one. So certainly a great deal of talent here to get ourselves going for one of these later rounds of the championship.
And this is it. It's still a really good strength of field, is that? I mean, that is you've got some really top drivers, and it's obvious to see that certain drivers want to do really well in this championship. Of course, only your top 8 results count towards your championship here, and some drivers do stop participating after doing the first 8 rounds of the championship. But with the racing that we've been having, who wouldn't want to drive in this series? It's been brilliant stuff, and everyone that comes in here to talk to us, it's amazing. We had interviews last week, Connor. It was fantastic. we had drivers commenting, each and every one of them saying how much fun it's been, and that's the key word here. It's been fun for these drivers.
Yeah, it's been very, very fun indeed. As now we're getting ourselves very, very close to be able to get going here for this edition of Raceport TV Friday Primetime on the iRacing Esports Network. You can just see that Thomas Gibson backing up the field, letting that pace car go away at the front of the field just a little bit. But it's only going to be a matter of time before that green flag comes out and Gibson can get on the noisy pedal. Pace car is in. Field under the control of Gibson. That core sim racing car will get itself going with green flag racing here in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge at Zandvoort. Great launch for your leader. It's a bit of a jostle for P2, though. Copa Lopez down towards the inside on Jack Sedgwick. 2x2 all the way through the first turn as Copa Lopez tries to get the traction off the corner. You have to be so careful. The tires are still a little bit cold here on the first lap. Copa Lopez still trying to fight with Sedgwick for P2. There's a bit of a door barge there coming up through turn 4. Jack Sedgwick will get himself solidified in P2, exactly where he started, but he had to really, really fight for it.
Yeah, that was aggressive driving, and well, as they head on into the back half of the circuit, a tricky part of the track is this one, so difficult and easy to run wide through there, but no mistakes so far here in the opening stages. But yeah, that was great racing. Gibson's trying to make a breakaway here, and this is exactly what he needs to do, because the last thing he wants to be doing is giving these drivers behind a draft, giving them a tow, and before you know it, he'd be dropping back. Battling further down, Colin Klopman and Vergara as well, side by side through that turn, heading towards turns 12 and 13.
Yeah, Klopman got a little bit of, well, a love tap from behind, shall we say, from Olivier. That put him back a good couple of positions. We'll continue on the battle, though, down towards the Audi S. Able to slot himself in behind Vergara there, as there's a slowdown penalty there for Alfonso Mulas, so he has to pull out a line, let almost pretty much everyone go. That pink Audi is not having the greatest time of things. Side by side between Asaga and Parada Jr., though, coming up through those final couple of turns. There's the battle between Vergara, Klopman, and Gold Carrera then. Oh, look at that. Down right towards the pit wall there. Is he going to try and go even further? Try and get past his teammate Vergara. Not quite going to be able to make it, though. Klopman's gone very deep on the outside. A little bit of a slide, but he's able to keep it on the grey stuff, and Klopman's still on the offensive here as he tries to get past that number 10. Yeah,
certainly doing a fantastic opportunist move there is Golda Ratina, and he's through then up into 7th place. Not bad considering he started in 10th place. Colin Klopman's going backwards a little bit, but we've seen in previous races how Klopman can move back forward through the field. Up at the front, Gibson's got a half-second lead over Sedgwick and Coba Lopez right now. But this front 5 has made a bit of a breakaway ahead of Vergara, so all that battling has cost those guys down in 6th below.
Yeah, the gap between the first and second packs stands at 2 seconds right now, so that's the margin they've been able to break away by. So Vergara going to be at the head of this second train. Of course, it looks like he does have, I struggle to say help behind him, but he does have a teammate there in that number 10 also in line, so he has that little bit of a buffer between himself and Klopman and Asaga and Prada Jr., the rest of the drivers here in this train. And right now, as we're on board with Gold Arasena, coming up through those final couple of corners once again, how aggressive with his, fellow man does he go?
Well, this is it. We'll come out the final corner, and this is your best opportunity. Using the slipstream, getting the speed down the back straightaway in towards Tarzan. And he's braking a little bit earlier is the number 10. That's just going to allow Klopman just to get on a little bit closer, but not right up to the bumper. Look further back, and Muth battling away with Kimichev down into turn number 4. No moves making so far, although Kimachev loses the back end a little bit, and it's a little bit of a concertina. Bump, and away they go again.
They did have to stack up behind him. Tononi almost running into the back of him, but able to keep things clean at this moment in time. Always brilliant to see indeed as we head up towards that turn 8. This downhill right-hander. Then get yourself set for turn 9. Of course, the turn name that we can't say on broadcast because of various tobacco is the only word I'm going to say. But Goldershana, there we go. A little bit of door rubbing there between himself and Koen Klopman heading their way through turn 11. Now that little straight down towards turn 12. Klopman has lost out in this situation, but he's still there and ready for the fight. Yeah,
he's giving it a good go, isn't he? Looking to the inside. It is an opportunity that you can make there, but it'll compromise you for this left-hander here. Now, again, you can see now the tyres are coming into play now. They've really sort of had time for those tyres to come up to temperature, come up to pressure. So this is where you're now starting to see who is got the better setup and who's better on those prepared tyres. Look at that little bit of a dance there from the 10, and this is the opportunity that Klopman needed.
Klopman needs to complete it on the brakes into turn 1. He's able to squeak his way through. He's able to get it stopped. He has the move. Well, he has the that move covered off, staying close to that apex. Goldarasena not able to find a way back through. So absolutely no overcommitment there from Koen Klopman. And he gets the pass complete, and Vergara ahead of him just has a little bit of a mistake there coming through turn 4, and Klopman, he might be on to get another position here in quite quick succession. Follows very, very closely, coming up through the S's, through turn 6, up towards turn 7, outside of turn 8. Would be very optimistic indeed, and that is why Vergara gets spun into the gravel and hits the Armco.
Up and over on his side. That is Beach. That is not going to get out of there. We'll look back then. Here we go. Left rear. What's going to happen? He's going to run him out of room. Klopman's up on the grass. Can't slow his car down. And then bang into the wall. Up and over. We'll have another look back at that one then for Vergara. Different view. Let's go from above. So you'll see how Klopman tries to go on the outside, but the room isn't there. He runs out onto the grass, and I just think that he can't stop that car. That gets him into the rear quarter panel, and Vergara up and over, and that's him out of this race. He's back in the pits. He's taking the tour, but that is race done for him.
Yeah, race done. He joins Artem Grabo as one of the retirements from this race so far. 13 cars still running in this one. Here's a little bit of a battle, though, coming through those final couple of corners. It's Mulas on the, pit wall side. We've got Kimishev trying to work his way around the outside here at turn 1. And here comes Tononi as well in the backfield as Kimishev has to try and go around the outside here. Not able to hold it. Able to slot back in line in the middle of the sandwich, though, as Tononi gained a lot of ground on them coming down the pit straight.
Yeah, certainly did, as Kimachev is actually having a little bit of technical problems there, so but disappointing to lose him from this, and in fact he's back, he's dropped back from that one, so obviously trying to get out the way of them whilst he was having those technical problems. But we'll look forward in your field though, because Asaga is ahead of Prada and Muth, and these three battling it out here. This is all over 8th place.
Yeah, fantastic battling that for 8th place as Muth getting very, very close indeed to Parada Jr. Parada Jr. is going to go defensive into the left, not quite, but it's getting very, very close quarters between these guys. Very little margin for error here in this one. The gaps will spread out a little bit on the way in towards turn 12, though, but again, another big braking zone. You could potentially do something down the inside. Prada Jr. hounding the back of Asaga now right at the front of this trio, and picks up the throttle relatively well there coming out of turn 13, but not going to result in anything here for turn 14. You can see he's so much later on the brakes than Asaga is. It's just a matter of time whether Parada Jr. will be able to have the opportunity in towards turn 1. He will get at least one shot at it. Dips inside the slipstream, and that is the pit wall defense there for Asaga. There's Parada Jr. stepping out, deciding to go the longer way around at turn 1. They get pretty close on the brakes in the braking zone there, and Parada Jr. still not able to work his way through. Maybe even gets gives a little bit of a love tap there off the corner, just as a bit of a hurry up.
Yeah, that's come on, let's make a move. But you could see how Parada's car was dancing over the curbs there through that middle sector of the lap. Has really got that car finally sort of looking like it's lively, and he's trying to make the moves. He's giving them the hurry up. He's not getting anywhere with it though, and he's being held back. You just think Parada needs to get the move done, or else Muth will take an opportunity and go for a position.
Yeah, just has to bide his time. Perhaps we're getting ourselves over the halfway point of this race. Still big questions over P8, P9, 10, 11, which is this battle pack that we have been watching.
Well,
and there's a bit of an alternate line, a bit of a weird line there coming off the corner there for Parada Jr. Very, very shallow indeed, but he's able to get away with it into the braking zone of turn 12. Still no opportunities going to either of the drivers here in this train. Just to give you a little bit of an update though towards the front of the field, Thomas Gibson, he's got about a second gap over Jack Sedgwick. Koba Lopez, Soimonen are very close in tow as well, so that might become a thing coming towards the end of this race. But it looks like now that Parada Jr. is getting himself set up to make a move down in towards turn 1.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out as Parada Jr. looks to the outside, and that's Mulas has caught right up with this battle. Oh, and around they go. Oh, more contact in this one. And Parada Jr. from battling for 8th is down to 10th. Meanwhile, Asaga, biggest loser of it all, down into 12th place.
Yeah, big instant there in towards turn 1. It's Asaga defensive on the inside line, back out to the normal racing line, and just a little bit too much contact there down into the corner. Parada Jr. angling in. I don't think you could really blame either of those two drivers for that one, unless we can get a good on-field view of Parada Jr. to see exactly what his view and what his steering inputs were in that situation. You can see turning down into the corner. He just... Thing is, though, I have to say that, Paul, he does keep steering once contact has been made.
It's a difficult situation, that, though, because the rear of the car at the front, both the rears of the cars will be very light because they're heavy onto the brakes in there, so the weight transfer takes weight off the rear wheels, and it's so easy to just pivot those cars once contact is made. So I don't think there is a lot that could have happened once contact was made, and he did get off the power, I did hear on board, so he did try, but then he ended up getting caught out himself. So yeah, definitely unfortunate between those guys, but that's split up this really has split up this battle, which was giving us the closest battle. We'll look forward though, because Soimonen is putting the pressure on Koba Lopez here. He
is relatively close in towards turn 1. Gap stands around about 3.5 tenths of a second between these two guys right now, so it seems like the entirety of this front train, in fact, is starting to close up at this stage. It was Thomas Gibson setting the early pace, but he has been matched, and at least on that last lap, bested by Jack Sedgwick. So this is going to be very, very interesting indeed, because if the fireworks start at the front of this train, then everyone's going to get themselves involved, and everyone looks to get on the podium or even the win.
Yeah, that's it. It all comes to a head towards the end, as we usually see in this series, and there's really, you seem to get that waiting phase in this championship where drivers they wait, the patience, see where the others are a bit stronger than them and where they have the weaknesses, and then pounce towards the end when the tyre degradation starts coming in to become a factor. But Soimonen, he'll be wanting to get himself a podium position right now. He's 6 tenths down on Koba Lopez now, so just dropping back here in this battle for 3rd and 4th place.
Yeah, losing a little bit of time there, just a tad, but everyone's still keeping relatively close together. Your leading 4 cars, Gibson, Cedric, Lopez, Soimonen, in that order. Looking to make things fun here coming in towards that second half of the race. Having a little bit look further down though. Still a battle for P8 going on though. Daniel Muth versus Alfonso Mulas here in this one. So that one might become a thing in just a couple of moments of time, especially if Mulas gets a good run out of the final corner. It's decent, and he's able to sit in the slipstream. He might just have a chance here down the inside at turn 1, not defended from Muth, so Muth will have to try and keep him at bay around the outside then, trying to carry the speed, which he can do on that on-camber corner. Very close off the corner, but Muth has the momentum around the outside to be able to defend, but not confident enough to try and cut off the nose coming through the right-hand kink, but still able to keep himself ahead here in this situation. Mulas will get himself another opportunity soon, though, I think.
Yeah, he will, you would imagine, but, well, here comes Prada Jr. once again, and Tononi's not that far off either on this battle, so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one as we've gone past the halfway stage of this race, but these drivers, they're absolutely giving it everything that they can, and Mulas, I thought he would have had the spot, but Muth did have the right idea, holding that outside line into 3, because then it meant that he had the inside line for 4, and that's more advantageous into that point.
Yeah. Look at this duel though. Mulas trying to squeak his way on the inside. Moves this man towards the outside, but side by side we'll go in towards that turn 12, turn 13 section. Harden the brakes into here. Muth still trying to hold things at bay here on the inside, able to squeak his way ahead, but Mulas is going to come back at him through the second part of the corner. They will still go door to door then down in towards turn 14. Mulas trying to make things work on the outside, but he will lose momentum there, and now here comes Prada Jr. as well. He's been watching and waiting, and now it's his time to strike perhaps as he gets the double toe coming down the pit straight here, able to maybe launch himself down the inside, outside, whichever way he may go in towards turn 1, but decides against the move there as Mulas senses for an inside opportunity over Muth, but Muth has that one covered. But look at how all stacked up these 4 cars are.
Yeah, and this is because Muth is just defending like his life depends on it here. You can do that around here as well. You do have the opportunity to go really defensive here. But if you do that, you end up with a stack of cars behind you. And look at that, there's, well, best part of a second between all 4 of these drivers. So really high pressure situation for Muth here. And it's whether he can withstand that pressure as we go through the back half of the track. But Mulas looking racy, looking to make the move. Ooh. Got really close to our camera then. And that's going to be a move to the inside. You can make a dive there. It's not going to come off though for Muth, but we saw how Mulas bullied his way through on the inside of this left-hander here. Not quite going to work, although just get a little bit of a tighter exit out of turn 11.
Yeah, so no shenanigans coming through there on this particular lap like the previous, but still a train that has a lot to give perhaps coming through turn 13 now. Mulas, of course, he will be able to set himself up for another little look in towards turn 1, but whether he'll be able to complete it is a completely different story. Muth has been very strong here in terms of the defense at the front of this train. Mulas will get his run stalled out a little bit at the wrong time. Coming through the final corner, he will be able to recover it. Still staying in that draft, now deciding to peek out towards the inside. Mulas, is he able to do it this time in towards turn 1? A little bit of a door barging through the middle of the corner, but Mulas, is he able to squeak his way ahead? He's not quite. Muth still has a nose in there, but he's going to lose out when it comes to the outside of that sort of right-hand kink at turn 3. So Mulas finally gets himself towards the front of this train, but I don't think we're done quite here yet, here, Paul, because Prada Jr. is looking aggressive, so is Tononi.
Yeah, I think Mulas needed to make that move then, because Prada Jr. was starting to get very racy with him. So I'm surprised that Muth just basically held the door open there into turn 1. and to allow Mulas through there, because really that is your best opportunity around this track. And yeah, we saw him hold the outside line the previous lap, but as we saw there, it's so easy for the car making the move to just run out that wide a little bit and get into the side of you. That unsettles your car and you end up losing the position. So a little bit of a mistake there from Muth there, but still great battling. And now Prada Jr. is coming under pressure from Juan Pablo Tononi.
Yeah, Tononi very close into the braking zone of 12. No one's been sensing for any moves down into there. It's a very difficult one to pull off, but still certainly very possible. Maybe a last lap thing is when we'll see that start to come into effect. Riding on board with Tononi, he's the car right at the back of this train for P8 on circuit. He's going to feel the huge effects of basically a triple slipstream on the way down the pit straight. You can see everyone going to the pit wall. What are we, IndyCar? I thought this was supposed to be TCR, but now Tononi still not in a position to be able to sling one down the inside at all. And well, if we focus our attention back towards the front of that train, it's going to be so difficult for Alfonso Mulas to pull away. Yes, he does seem to be the faster of all four of these drivers right now, but it doesn't seem to be fast enough to be able to break the draft at the front. Yeah,
that's. I thought when he finally made the move stick on Muth, he would have been able to pull away because he seemed to have the edge over Muth. But right now, he seems to be more or less dragging Muth along with him. And that's allowing them just to gap that little bit over Prada Jr. and Tononi, because Prada Jr. is half looking behind him and half looking forward. So it's going to be interesting to see whether these two develop into just two duo battles, or whether Prada Jr. can get back onto the back of this battle for 8th place. And how refreshing it is that because there's so little happening up the front, we're looking at this battle. I will say, Dominic Olivier and Klotman, they're within about half a second between the two of them for 5th and 6th, so we might have to move our attention closer to the front in maybe a lap or two's time.
Maybe, just maybe, but it looks like this train for P8 is where it's at the current moment, although it's starting to split into two pairs. You can see Prada Jr. not quite able to keep up with the pace of Mulas and Muth at the front of that one, so now has to start being a little bit more concerned with the car imminently behind. Tononi gets a terrible run coming through those final two corners, though. He's not able to set up for any sort of move in towards turn 1, and that's how crucial those final two corners are, because if you even get them slightly wrong, you're just going to be hurting all the way down that pit straight into turn 1, and that is basically one of your main overtaking opportunities as well.
It certainly is, and it's where you pick up the most speed, and it's so crucial to carry that speed out those final two corners. But I noticed the lap before when we were on board with Tononi, he didn't feel comfortable through those final two corners, so definitely something that Tononi's maybe not comfortable with in the car. Meanwhile, we have moved forward then to this battle between 5th and 6th place. Dominic Olivier, the man from Florida, and Cohen Klotman, the Benelux driver, heading into turn 10, and these two, they've got together now. Klotman was almost, well, we'll have a look at it on the screen here. It was 0.6 of a second, exactly 0.6 of a second faster than Olivier last time around.
Yeah, really putting in the hard yards. 7 minutes from the end of the race, gets very close. Coming through turn 12, turn 13 as well, so Klotman, the obvious pace advantage here over Olivier, but is he able to complete the pass? That is the bigger question. Of course, through turn 14, turn 15, final corner coming up next. Olivier going a little bit wider there on the entry to the corner. Will benefit him in terms of the exit speed, but there's not much, all that much you can do when Klotman's sitting so close inside your slipstream. No opportunity this time in towards turn 1. Klotman will show the nose regardless, just to keep Olivier on his toes.
Certainly will, and well, the pressure is certainly on here as they head on Through into 3. No overtaking opportunity there. I said you can maybe risk something into 4, but it's only if the other driver cooperates and gives you the space. But out they go through that corner. Muth and Mulas are still together as well. So 2 battles on track at the moment, with about 0.3 of a second between them. But this is one that we're focusing on, is Klopman and Olivier. By the way, your race leader, 1.2, 1.3 seconds in the lead now out there at the front. So definitely Thomas Gibson has got the bit between the teeth. And with there's only under 6 minutes remaining in this race. This race has flown by again.
Yeah, it really has. As now Klopman, very big wide line into Vodafone, but not really going to result in much off the corner. Olivier still able to hold station in this battle for position just inside of that top 5. Klopman needs to be focusing now on that final sector, get that good run out, but almost runs into the back coming through turn 13 there. Just have to be so careful. Yes, these cars are built like tanks, but can't be affording to have bits of contact that might get you even caught up on an instant as well. But now Klopman gonna have to lift out the throttle a little bit coming through those that final corner, which is just not ideal. You know, you're just losing speed, you're losing momentum.
Yep, that's really not going to be helpful for his charge here, so that's not going to work. So we'll look back then. Muth, he is trying to make the moves, but again, not a good run, and having to just be careful and really hold in line for the time being. And these battles have really sort of petered out here at the moment. But looking to the front, Jack Sedgwick, he hasn't given up. He's caught up a 1/10 of a second, but that's not really enough to be gaining on your race leader. But I thought I'd give him a bit of airtime because we barely mentioned him. Thomas Gibson at the front of your field here, and well, we can't really comment on how he's been driving because we've barely seen him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a comfortable race. He had a great launch off of the start, which obviously with a rolling start is going to be basically given by default to your leader, unless in some leagues you have a rule where you can only go in the green flag. But still, you know, bringing out that second gap, just running some very competitive lap times indeed. Cedric did catch about a 1/10 of a second on that last lap, but it seems like these guys have just been trading lap times for the vast majority of the laps that we've had run here. So it's basically 1 lap Gibson pulls away, 1 lap Cedric starts to close up again, just going like a big old spring at the front of the field, and not much progress being made by Cedric. We're running on board though with Soimonen though, looking to get himself onto the podium, and worries Koba Lopez enough that he goes to the pit wall to try and break the draft here. So now he's aware of Koba Lopez's mindset.
Yeah, Koba Lopez realises he can't catch Jack Sedgwick or Thomas Gibson in front, so he's now focused purely on keeping ahead of Soimonen, and that could be a little bit dangerous. I mean, he's only half a second behind, but we've seen how difficult it is to overtake here. And really, half a second isn't the smallest of gaps either, though. So I don't know why he's defending quite so aggressively down the pit straight. But obviously, he's a better driver than I am. Hence, he's car number 1, and I'm sat here in a commentary booth. But you know, he's obviously feeling the need that he needs to try and break that draft.
Yeah, well, every little helps. But coming up towards 2 minutes remaining. Next time across the line for these guys will be the start of the final lap. So if you wanting to make those moves, one have to get close here, and that's what Simon's trying to do, and try and pull it off, maybe down in towards turn number 1. But if you can't do it into turn 1, that's going to make things a little bit more tricky there for a final lap pass. Olivier and Klopman still close, but Klopman still hasn't been able to work his way through on the Floridian, is now in towards turn 12. Still Olivier ahead in that black Audi from the white, red and blue of Koen Klopman, as white flag going to be out this time around, and Thomas Gibson will take that one. So start of the final lap here for this edition of Race Spot TV Friday Primetime. And, well, we still got those battles for example P3 and 4, Koba Lopez, Soimonen, battle for P5 and 6 as well, and this one is going to be a bit of a flourish here towards the end. Olivier having to go defensive on the inside, big move around the outside attempted there from Klopman, but can he keep his nose in there to make a challenge through 3 and 4? He can't. He has to slot in behind. He's gonna go for the bumper, not quite just yet, but it's a last ditch move. Look at that big defensive move there into 4 for Olivier, just hogging that inside line. Klopman wanted to send it in, but simply wasn't able to. And Olivier, while he has, well, increased his percentage chance of of finishing inside the top 5 here, but it is still not done. Coming through turn 8, still holding station ahead. Turn 9 is going to be one of the more tricky sections here in this particular battle. Is Klopman able to work his way by? He's certainly looking for it. The track is so wide here on the entry to these corners. They're so inviting for moves, but Klopman's made a bit of a mess of that one through through Renault, and now coming up through Vodafone. Not going to gain much ground at all. Time will expire in just a couple of moments' time. We've got this battle for P3 and 4 as well. Koba Lopez and Soimonen, oh so close. But it's going to be this man at the front of the field, has led from the very start and simply has not looked back. One of the most confident wins that we've seen this season. Thomas Gibson for Core Sim Racing across the line will win at Zandvoort. Koba Lopez will hold on to P3, but Olivier and Klopman, well, that battle heads its way through the final corner. It's going to be Olivier just coming through the start-finish line. He's going to be able to finish in that 5th spot, but Klopman, he has to settle for P6. Battle for P8 and P9 across the line. Mulas will get that one over Daniel Muth, as the rest of the runners now will start to come across the line. That was a little bit of a more relaxed race there, Paul, than what we've been used to.
Yeah, I mean, compared to last week when we had 6 and 7 cars all battling out for the lead, but yeah, definitely it's still a good race, a different type of race that you get around here, but yeah. It's gonna be a mega into the season, and that one, really good result there for Thomas Gibson. He'll be absolutely delighted with that one.
Yeah, it was very comfortable, confident, just an ideal race from the driver of the number 2 car. But here are your official race results here at Zandvoort. Thomas Gibson wins by 1 second over Jack Sedgwick, but Sedgwick not able to eat into that gap at all coming through the second half of that race. Koba Lopez and Soimonen were looking promising towards the end to have a bit of a battle, but in the end, Lopez had a bit too much of a gap over that number 3 finish driver. Dominic Olivier, Cohen Klopman, well done to Olivier to hold on to that top 5 position, despite Klopman coming at him like, well, with a rate of knots, as David Gold Arasana in P7. We've got Alfonso Mulas finishing in P8 as well. Daniel Muth P9 with Juan Parada Jr. in that 10th spot. Juan Pablo Tononi will finish in P11 with Asaga P12, Kimichev P13, and then you have your 2 retirements. Jose Vergara, big moment there. Contact with Cohen Klopman in towards turn 8, sent him into the gravel and sent him onto his roof, as Artem Grabo will be your final classified runner here today. P15 and 16 laps down. Well, that's it for the racing, but we'll have the post-race show coming at you in just a couple of moments' time. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. It's the post-race show here on RaceSpot TV. This is the Friday primetime broadcast. This is the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. We had a relatively interesting race here at Zandvoort. A little bit more low-key, perhaps, than some of the racing that we've had here this season, but still some intrigue when it comes to those mid-pack battles especially. But I think the man of the moment, we mentioned it towards the end of the race itself, Paul, but Thomas Gibson just, class of the field here today. It didn't look like anyone could threaten him at all.
No, he seemed to have Jack Sedgwick covered. As you mentioned towards the end there, Sedgwick and Gibson were sort of trading lap times, and that really was just showing that Gibson, he wasn't pushing. He was just doing what he had to do, and really, that sums up his race, really. As I said, in that race, we didn't really see him do anything wrong because we didn't really see him all race. We saw him at the start. We pointed the cameras at him once partway through the middle of the race, and then towards the end there, and that was it. So, very quiet race, but he'll be delighted with a quiet race because it means he's been out at the front all the time.
Yeah, quiet race perhaps better for the drivers, but, a very busy and exciting race. It's certainly better for us and, of course, those watching as well. But, with this one in the bag now, and, the racing that we've had here today, it's, with this sort of track, when we have so little opportunities to try and pull off passes and so little, basically, sort of obvious opportunities to try and get past. Of course, you have that one in towards turn one, and that is pretty much it. The rest of the track, you basically have to work very hard to even get yourself alongside, let alone try and get yourself by. So, some people some people dislike this track because of that. Some people like it as more of a driver's track. I know Will Vincent is particularly a fan of this track, and that is the RaceSpot TV CEO, if you don't know. So, it's a love-hate relationship for a lot of people with this track, but Paul, in the break, you certainly made your opinions known about this.
Yeah, I don't like the track. I don't think it's conducive of good racing. With certain types of cars it is. I'm thinking things like the MX-5, the Skippy. They're fantastic, lower powered, low downforce or no downforce cars. Really good on this circuit. Really fun to run in this circuit. These cars where they've got a bit of downforce or a bit more power, or even your Formula cars, I just don't think it suits the cars for what they do. So I'm sure a few of the drivers will agree with me that they'll be happy to see the back of this track, to be honest, for this week. But what we have got, of course, is, just 2 more weeks of this championship, and it's an absolute classic circuit next. Great slipstream opportunities once again. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park at Mosport. That's a brilliant track. That always produces great racing.
Yeah, every single race I've commentated there has been an absolute banger, for lack of a better term, as especially, so going towards the second half of the lap, coming down the end of the back straight, where you have those big wide S's sort of sections where the advantage can just switch one way and then the other and then the other. It's really plays host to some really brilliant battling, and of course after that we have Phillip Island Circuit, which is a particularly good track for overtaking as well, at least in my opinion. So at least we have Zandvoort out of the way. Now we can look forward to two brilliant circuits to finish off the season. Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, Motorsport, a cracking circuit and one that the IMSA series do run at. And it's the track where I got my closest ever finish, 0.003 of a second. In the lead ahead of David Baker. I like to remind him of it every so often. That was in an official race as well. But yeah, those two tracks produce some fantastic racing. Phillip Island can be a bit more instant packed with the hairpins there, but still, it'll be fantastic. And the drivers love the track as well, and that's one thing that really does help with these races towards the end of the season.
Certainly a lot to look forward to for the final couple of rounds of this season of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Of course, our RaceSpot TV Friday Primetime featured series for this season. That's going to be all that we have time for here, though, on the broadcast. I've been Connery Maddock. That's been Paul Smith. Thanks to Istvan Ballo for the TV cameras and Simon Grisman and ETVO for providing us the technology that we use in our overlays. But 2 weeks to go here, 2 races to go in this series. Join us same place, same time next week at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.